It was definitely the book that I got hooked on the fastest this year and flew through so quickly. I was waiting on things that happened, and I am satisfied now. If y'all know me at all, y'all know that I almost exclusively read romance in some capacity. I have read The Fault in Our Stars in 10th grade, it ruined my life, and now I no longer do tragic endings.
But I'm here to...
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sam, and this is the mid-year book Freakout tag. So I really like tag videos. I think they're a lot of fun, and this one is going to be super fun because I've read 73 books so far in 2022, so I'm so excited to talk about the best of those books, the worst of those books, the books that surprised me, and all of the fun things they're going to talk about in this tag. Before we get into the video, I have two things that I want to let y'all know. So first of all, if you have not already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and the little bell icon will notify you when I post. I'm posting on Sundays and Wednesdays at the moment, usually 9 a.m.-ish. The second thing is you might have noticed that I'm wearing new glasses. These glasses are from Zinf, which is an online glasses company, and they sent these to me to try out, and I am obsessed with them. They are so lightweight and so pretty, and I am so picky about my glasses. I've been wearing glasses since sophomore year of high school, so 10 years now I have been wearing glasses. It has been a long time, and I am so picky about my glasses because I have a rounder face. It's one of the things that I'm a little bit self-conscious about, and I find that certain glasses styles can be really unflattering on me. So I find it really hard to find glasses that I actually like. And what I love about this company is they let you try their glasses on online. So you like take a picture of yourself, you upload it, and you can see the glasses on your face before you purchase them. So that's what I did, and these came in the mail, and I love them. They are my prescription. They've got the night driving lenses that I like. They're scratch resistant. If you wear glasses, you know glasses are expensive. Buying them from your glasses eye doctor, buying them from your eye doctor is not fun. They're like hundreds of dollars. So I had my old glasses for literally like 3 years because I didn't want to buy a new pair and spend all that money. Now that I've found these, I can replace them like every year, and I love it. These are so cute, honestly. I actually went through and priced out what my lenses and the frames would be with everything that I get in them, and it was only like $50 or $60, which is so much more affordable than buying them from my eye doctor. So love these. They're also just really pretty. I will show them to you. So if you can see them really close up. Oh, I don't know if that's gonna focus. But also I like the color. They're almost translucent. I really like the idea of the clear glasses that are really trendy, but I didn't think they looked good on me when I tried them on in the store a long time ago. So I like these because I kind of get that effect, but they still have a tint to them, so I feel like they actually look good on me. So if you are interested in these glasses, I have these exact frames linked below. I also have just a link to their general website, and I have a discount code for y'all. You can get 50% off frames and 10% off lenses. And they don't just have prescription glasses, they have blue light glasses and different things like that too. So if you're in the market for glasses, great choice. All that information is linked below. Let's get into the video. Mid-year book freakout tag. There are 13 questions and at least 13 books that I'm going to talk about, so let's get going. Question number 1 is, what is the best book that I have read so far in 2022? This was quite difficult. I could pick a top 5, but picking a number 1 was hard. So I decided to go with more of a best series because I really couldn't tell you if I liked book 1 or book 2 better. I liked different things about both of them. The series isn't finished, but what I've read so far, I think it might be my favorite. It was definitely the book that I got hooked on the fastest this year and flew through so quickly. So that would be Kingdom of the Wicked and Kingdom of the Cursed. And Kingdom of the Feared, the third and I think final book maybe, comes out at the closer to the end of this year. I think it's September 27th. But I loved these books. I flew through them. I read them in May, and I talked about them a lot in my May wrap-up, so I won't go into super detail, but basically we have sister witches. One of them is killed, the other one is out for revenge. She calls on Wrath, one of the 7 princes of hell, to help her. That's a terrible idea, but we've got this morally great love interest. It's got all the things that I love about it, and the second book is the exact opposite of second book syndrome. Like, I loved it almost more than the first one. I really couldn't tell you which one I liked more, and I am so excited for book 3. Question number 2 is, what is the best sequel so far? So I almost did that one, but I felt like since I did Kingdom of the Wicked for the first one, I wanted to pick something different for the second question. So I decided to go with House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in her Crescent City series, which is an adult fantasy, and I purely picked this book because of that ending. But also, I don't want to say a lot about this book for those who haven't read the first book, but the relationship in this book, we got a lot of satisfaction that we were missing in book 1 that we were all waiting on. It was good in this book. I was waiting on things that happened, and I am satisfied now. But that ending both killed me and made me so happy, like so excited, desperate for book 3. But I just cannot wait to see where this series goes. So I think this was the best sequel because it just opens up so many possibilities that I am so excited about. Question number 3 is a new release that you haven't gotten to yet, but you want to. So I chose The Blood Trader for this. This is the 3rd book in the Prison Healer series by Lynette Nani. I don't own it yet. It just came out like last week, maybe even, was it this week or last week? I think it was last week, but I'm really excited to read this. I need to read the second book. I have not read that yet. I was purposefully waiting until the 3rd book came out or was close to coming out to reread the first book and then read the second so I could binge read them all. But I just finished rereading the first book last week as an audiobook, and I really liked it as an audiobook. So if you're looking for a new audiobook, that one's a good one. But I'm going to listen to the second one and then I will get to the 3rd one. Question number 4 is the most anticipated new release for the second half of the year. So kind of already talked about this, but I am so excited for Kingdom of the Feared. This comes out September 27th. I am literally on edge waiting for it. I don't know how I'm gonna make it that far. I have never flown through 2 books so fast in my life. If I had had the 3rd book, I would have finished them all in like one day. Like, I really would have. Question number 5 is my biggest disappointment for this half of 2022. So far, I think the book that disappointed me the most, not including DNFs because I don't really keep track of those super well, but the book that disappointed me the most that I did finish was Lock Every Door by Riley Seeger. I had huge hopes for this book, and it wasn't a bad book. I still gave it 3 stars, but I expected it to be a 5-star read. This book follows Jules, and she is having a really hard time financially, and she gets a job working as like an apartment sitter, and she's getting like 12 grand out of it just to stay in this apartment in this really fancy but mysterious building in New York City, and her only rule is basically don't talk to anybody that lives there. But then one of the other apartment sitters in the building goes missing, and there's this big mystery from there. Lots of people love this book, and I can see why. I just was expecting different things. I went in not really knowing what to expect, and then as I started reading, I was liking it, and I was expecting more. I felt like I reached the halfway point and I still didn't really have any questions. Like, I didn't really have anything that I was desperate to know. Like, I knew this girl was missing, but there just seemed like there were so many obvious ways she could have been missing, and I don't know, I just wasn't, the ending was definitely a twist. Like, it wasn't what I expected, but I was a little bit underwhelmed by it. It just wasn't the direction that I was thinking / kind of hoping that the book was going to go. So I was a little bit disappointed, and I just felt like it took so long for me to actually be curious about anything that it bored me a little bit. And I do think this is one of the books that put me into such a big reading slump with thrillers. Like, I have not really picked up another thriller since this one and actually finished it. So I don't think it's a bad book, and I can see why a lot of people really like it, but I didn't particularly care for it as much as I thought I was going to. Question number 6 is the biggest surprise of this half of 2022. The book that surprised me the most, by like a lot, was Rhapsodic. This is by Laura Thalassa, and it follows a siren and a fae prince, and they're on Earth, and he's the bargainer, and she makes like a bunch of deals with him, but she's also in love with him, and a lot of things are happening, and I have been told that I needed to read this by multiple people for months, and I kept putting it off because the back didn't make a lot of sense and I wasn't really sure I was into it. And then I started reading it and I still wasn't sure. Like, I didn't really understand what was going on the first quarter of the book, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't really like the bargainer, I'm not really into this, and then I just hit this point where everything flipped and I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best books I have ever read, and immediately gave it 5 stars. I feel like that happened like maybe a third of the way into the book where just like a switch flipped in my brain and I was like, this is fantastic. And I can't really pinpoint exactly where in the story that happens, but I think part of it is it's not a slow burn for the character, but it's a slow burn for me, but kind of twice, because we've got dual timelines here. The bargainer and Callie, our siren, knew each other when Callie was a teenager, and then we also get the timeline of 7 years later, so we kind of get to fall in love with the bargainer twice, and it was a little bit of a slow burn for me, but not necessarily for Callie, if that makes sense. But I wasn't feeling it at the beginning, and it definitely surprised me. Question number 7 is a new favorite author, and that was pretty easy for me. My new favorite author so far this year is Elle Kennedy. I recently read The Deal and I absolutely loved it, and I've ordered the next 3 books in the series, and I want to read every book she has ever written. I loved this book. I felt like it was the perfect sports college romance, and I want more. If you haven't read The Deal, this follows our main character, Hannah, and Garrett. And Hannah is like a straight A student, but she's also crushing on this football player in her philosophy class, and Garrett is a hockey player who is failing said philosophy class and wants Hannah to tutor him, so he makes a deal with her that he will help her get this football player if she tutors him in philosophy. And then things spin out of control from there. It's so good. It's so cute. I loved it. 5 stars. Can't wait to read the rest of the series. Question number 8. Question number 8 is a new fictional crush, and if y'all know me at all, y'all know that I almost exclusively read romance in some capacity. If I'm not reading fantasy romance, I'm reading contemporary romance. I don't really like books that don't have romance in them. Used to like thrillers, not so much anymore, but honestly, if it doesn't have romance, I don't want it. So, picking one fictional crush, not gonna happen. I have multiple. The first one is, in fact, Garrett from The Deal. Loved him. Also loved Des, and loved Wrath. And those are the 3 most recent that I could pick out that I loved the most. But there are many, many, many more. Many more. And it doesn't take much. Give me a cute romance and I'm sold. Question number 9 is my newest favorite character. This one I chose from a series that I started last year, but I didn't like the series until I got to a certain point this year. So I think it counts, but I'm gonna go with Aelin from Throne of Glass. And I'm holding up the 5th book because this is where I started to actually really love the series and where I started to love Aelin as a character. It's not that I didn't like, I didn't hate Throne of Glass, but I didn't really care for the first 2. I felt like in the 3rd one it started to get a little bit better, then the 4th one I didn't care for again. So I put the series down last year for a while, and then I decided to finish it this year, picked this one up, and was immediately hooked and flew through the rest of the series. And I just love Aelin's character in the last couple of books. It is just so much better than the first part of the series. So, new favorite character for sure, even though technically I started the series last year. She wasn't a favorite character until this year. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry. Alright, so first of all, I'm not a crier. Like, I'm just not. Second of all, I don't like sad books. Like, I just don't read them. I read The Fault in Our Stars in 10th grade. It ruined my life, and now I no longer do tragic endings. Period. So, I don't know that there really is a book that has made me cry, but this one probably came the closest. I felt like this one was the most emotionally charged for me. And that's about as close to crying as you're going to get, and that is House of Earth and Blood, which is technically a reread. I did read it last year, or the year before. I read it the year that it came out the first time. I think that was the year before last year. But I felt like it hit just as hard the second time I read it. Like, I still love this book so much. I still feel like it's better than the second one, but this book is everything, honestly. It is definitely one of my favorite books I've ever read. It is my favorite adult fantasy I've ever read. This is what kind of introduced me to adult fantasy and made me kind of want to steer a little bit more away from YA and start delving more into adult fantasy, especially adult fantasy romance. This book literally changed my life, and it was definitely the most emotionally charged for me, even if I didn't technically cry. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy. So I loaned this book to my sister, so I do not have it with me at the moment, but I chose It Happened One Summer. This is by Tessa Bailey? Let me double check that. Yes, this is by Tessa Bailey. So this book follows Piper, and she is an LA influencer, and she gets into some trouble one night, and her stepdad has had enough, and he sends her to Washington State to basically run the bar that her dad owned. Her dad was a fisherman. He was killed on his boat out fishing or whatever they do. And Piper goes up, and that's where she meets another fisherman, and you get the cutest little romance here. This book just made me so happy, the whole thing. Like, at first I thought Piper was really annoying, but I just started to fall in love with her and with him and their relationship, and just thought that it was so cute, and it made me smile throughout the whole book, so it made me happy. A little cheesy, but that's okay. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book that I have bought this year. So this one really didn't have a lot of competition. I mean, I could have done like the whole series because I did buy multiple of these books. Ooh, it's getting very dark all of a sudden. My sunlight is going away. That's depressing. Okay, but I chose Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kovas. So let me show you all this book. So first of all, the cover's cute. Like, it's pretty. However, look at what it is underneath. Like, look at this. Look at this. I can't. It's so pretty, and it's got like really pretty art inside, and then it's got on the cover it's got like all the characters, and they're so cute, and I just love the way these books are done. The first one is just like it. I don't know why I chose the second one over the first one. I think I like the cover of the second one a little bit better than the first one, but they both do this, and so does the Bridge Kingdom. So I really could have chosen any of those because they all have the really pretty artwork under the cover, but I chose this one. And question number 13 is, what books do I still need to read in 2022? I don't necessarily have like a list of I have to finish these books this year. I do, however, have a very large physical TBR that I will be reading throughout the rest of the year. So if you want to know what I plan to be reading the rest of the year, I will link that video below. It is my entire physical TBR at the moment. There's a lot of really good books on there, but I would say the only book that I'm like, I 100% will be finishing in this before the end of the year is Kingdom of the Feared when it comes out. That will be top priority. Alright, so that is everything I've got for the mid-year book freakout tag. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!